a lot of students go through classrooms where the teacher is just trying to get by and they don't really truly care about the well-being of the student.
Seeing this whole gender thing play out and political things and all these things, like they're forcing kids to now learn at like 7 years old or something. Normal parents with any kind of brain are going to be like, I'm done. Like, enough is enough. The social interaction is now available. Homeschool kids 30 years ago were like the Amish. Like, if I'm a guy who values my time, wouldn't I value my kids' time too? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Wealthy Way podcast, where our goal is to help you not go broke trying to get rich. Today, we're actually going to be starting a more frequent segment with none other than my wife.
I'm
Mindy.
back.
She's back. And really what made me want to start this segment was because, and I think I'm thinking of this off the top of my head. I think I'm going to call it Wealthy Marriage.
Okay. That's cool.
Because there's so many like marriage issues that we've been like helping other couples with. And then other people come to me and they tell me about all these different issues they're going through. And I'm like, man, we should probably just talk about it on a podcast and how we handle them. And so this is going to be something that's going to happen a lot. And it's just going to be a regular part of the podcast. So shout out to my wife for being vulnerable.
I haven't been vulnerable yet, but I guess we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm excited though. I kind of already knew that the podcast, or maybe some segment of the podcast, was going to head down this direction. Even years ago when we started, we did a YouTube. I don't know. Only the OGs will probably know this, but we did the R&M show.
Yep.
We just
this was back in like 2020.
Yeah. This was a while ago, or it feels like that a while ago, but yeah, we did that and everyone loved it. And when we stopped doing it, I still get questions about it.
Where'd it go?
Yeah. When are you guys bringing R&M show back? And
well, it's back.
It's back now.
And it's
back
better.
and better than ever.
Well, R&M show was supposed to be a podcast, really, like when you think about it, but I didn't have a podcast yet.
No, and we weren't like really giving marriage advice, or we were just talking about whatever topics we thought would go viral, essentially.
Yeah. So today's topic, just to get that intro out of the way, is about just schooling and how we've made the decision to homeschool and just like why we're doing it and just like what we see with the schooling system. For us, both of us, we grew up in the public school system here in Las Vegas, which is rated like 49th out of 50th, I think.
Yeah.
And so we both turned out pretty good. And I think early on in our marriage, we were like, yeah, I mean, whatever. They can go to public school. We worked out okay. And then Mindy actually became a public school teacher, 8th grade English in at-risk school. So like it was, you know,
Title
really
I,
tough.
low income.
Yeah, really tough area. And what I admire about you is you did it not for the money, obviously. No teacher, I think, does it for the money, but like we were already making money. You didn't need to do it.
Yeah. Well, and that was actually a blessing to teach while we were, you know, good, because it helped me and allowed me to provide for my classroom, my cheer team. I mean, I just watched several teachers struggle to get funding for just little basic things that should be provided to teachers in the classroom. So I think that all the timing of everything was just perfect. And I mean, I still would have done it, obviously, if we didn't have any money, but it allowed my kids to have things that they probably wouldn't have normally had. It allowed our cheer team to go way further than we could have because we wouldn't have been able to get funding. So it was a wild time. It was fun.
So you did that for 3 years?
3 years, yep.
Yeah, so
little
3
over
years.
3 years.
She got us the insurance and everything.
That's really why I was teaching. It's just so that
insurance.
Ryan could have insurance.
That's right. As an entrepreneur, most of you know, we're not, you know, big on paying insurance. But anyways, so, you know, we start our marriage and we didn't have kids till 5 years after we were married. And that was always part of our plan. We were like, hey, let's like just kind of enjoy being married for 5 years. Then let's have kids and kind of see where that goes. And now we have 2 kids, 4 and 2, about to be 3, and then 1 on the way.
When is this going to air?
This will air after the announcement.
Okay.
So you're good.
Okay. Yes, we have 1 on the way.
I don't know if we're going to reveal the gender. Are we going to reveal the gender?
No.
Okay. All right. So
because we filmed our very
it will have
personal
already been
gender reveal at home.
Okay.
that we'll probably release eventually.
Okay. All right. So you guys
Yeah.
don't know the gender, but we have another
Okay.
one on the way. So
I wasn't sure when this was
is
gonna
live.
air, so
So, we're obviously growing a family, and I don't know how many more we'll have. We'll see. But school is obviously something now that our kids are about to get into. My son's 4 now, and so it's like, all right, now we have to actually start thinking about this. And I know initially from our progression, we were like, okay, well, maybe we'll go to private school now, just because we're well known and we have money. So like, let's go that route. And I think that was the mindset for a couple of years. And actually, James went to a private school.
yeah, he did go to a Christian private school for a year and a half. I don't know. I guess I just, had it in my head that he needed to be socialized, and it would give me a break. And also, he would just be able to learn in a different environment versus just me being at home with him all day long. I'm sure all of my parents know this with young kids. He got sick every other week. He would get sick. He would come home. We would get sick. And then once he got better, I would say he was like 80-90% better. We'd send him back to school. He'd get sick again. And we just like this reoccurring cycle happened for a year and a half before I was just like, I'm done. I'm tired of being sick. Like, we'll just keep him home and figure it out later. So we pulled him from preschool.
But overall, I mean, like, the private school was good. Like,
Yeah, it was good.
And yeah, it was preschool. I mean, he was only 3 or 2.5 when he went in.
Yeah, and I mean, the core values were the same that we wanted him to learn. Obviously, at that age, I mean, they're really not learning. They're kind of
they're
like,
just babysitting,
running around.
Yeah, with other kids.
Trying to have some curriculum, but not really. It's like almost impossible for a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
But I mean, after that, we were both just like, okay, well, maybe, we'll do some other.
Yeah, we're going to find another private school.
Yeah.
And then we moved, and you were like, hey, well, if I'm going to move over there, because like that private school was near our old house, and it's far from our new house.
It's so far from our
She's
new
like,
house.
okay, well, you're taking him to school.
Because I was like, I'm not pulling him from school. We just enrolled him. He's finally knowing his classmates. We actually had a friend whose kid was in the same class. And I just wanted to keep that like familiar environment for him. So I was like, okay, here's my thing. If we move, you're going to wake up early and take him, 35, 40 minutes to school every day. And then I'll move. That's fine.
Right. So eventually, we finally move, and it was kind of during this time, like, I started to have a little bit of a change of heart. And I mean, Mindy will tell you this. Anytime like I get like a seed planted, it usually sprouts at some point.
Till 12 a.m.
Yeah. And, basically what happened was, we're doing the private school thing, and it's fine, and, whatever. And I just started to like actually think about our lives, and I was looking at my lifestyle then. I'm like, man, I go out of town a lot. This is like gonna probably be my life. Like, we're gonna travel a lot and have these things, and
yeah, it's gonna exponentially grow. It's not even gonna stay.
Yeah, like this is the very beginning of where we're at, and so that's one aspect of it. 2, I started to also feel this part of me, like I never was a political guy, and just like starting to see all of these things with just the school system, and even if you're in a private school, just like the crap they got to go through and everything else. And I'm like, dude,
you're still at the mercy of someone else.
Yeah. And just what they want to teach and everything else.
Right.
And as somebody who's never had a job and who's been told what to do, I've always been the one who's telling people what to do and like having my agenda out there. And if you don't like it, cool. You don't have to work here. You don't have to watch my content. I don't really care.
Yeah.
But like, I'm going to be the head of my own things of what I want to say and especially what I want my family to learn and do. And the more I just started to see everything in the school system, it became clear to me. I was like, dude, like this is just getting ridiculous. And the fact that, they're going to prohibit when I can take my kids on vacation and like, normal, like that stuff's normal school system stuff. But I'm like, I'm not like only going on vacation when they tell me I can go on vacation with spring break.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to go take my kids to freaking the Dominican for a month or 2, we're going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like, from a, I guess, moral core value standpoint, I wanted to make sure our kids are learning the things we want them to learn. From a, a lifestyle standpoint, I want to be able to do the things we want to do. And the more I thought about it, and then also too, just like this podcast, I interviewed so many successful people who were, a lot more ahead of me. And many of them, if not the majority of them, were already homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, I mean, if that's like the business path I'm on, we're probably going to inevitably end up at this route. And I started to tell Mindy about it, and like, she was very against it.
Well, I think we both were not homeschool people from the
Yeah.
beginning.
You could watch an old YouTube video where we hate on it.
Yeah, we hate on it pretty hard. And I think that's the beauty of it, though, is that people can change their minds once they learn and do, and
Different perspective.
Get different perspectives from different people and find out what other people are doing that have the same lifestyle as you, and realize that maybe what you thought isn't going to work out. And so you just shift and pivot, and then you move on. But I was against it, for a lot of reasons. Obviously, the social aspect, I think everybody can attest to, homeschool kids. Yeah. Well, and I have personal experience because I worked in the classroom, but that's also why I was against it, is because I did see the beauty of children being in a classroom setting with a teacher. Now, this isn't the case for everybody, but I was so fortunate enough at my school that I would say 90% of teachers were heavily involved with their students, really loved them, really cared for them. And I just saw the beauty in that I was like, I want my child or my children to experience that too. And yeah, we didn't get to teach them obviously what we wanted to, and maybe it's different for high school, but in middle school and even elementary school, it's kind of like the limbo years where we're just trying to make them like good humans. We're trying to make them learn how to be on a schedule, just learn basic skills of life. And then as you get older, obviously they're a lot more rigorous about testing and, all that standardized BS and stuff. But yeah, I really loved the classroom environment. I loved the environment that I created for my students, and I saw many teachers do that. And so I didn't care. I mean, I was like, well, yeah, my kids can go in such an environment like that. But once I realized that our school was pretty abnormal, we had like administration that really supported us, and that's not very, what's it called? It just doesn't happen in CCSD. So, and I'm not like totally hating on CCSD, obviously, but it's just we were the anomaly of the school district. And once I saw that generally a lot of students go through classrooms where the teacher is just trying to get by and they don't really truly care about the well-being of the student, I just thought, well, nobody's going to care about my own kids then, and like I would, they have to stay home. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think the other part of it is like you touched on the thing. Well, so there's lots of elements to this, so that's why we got a lot of time to talk. So I'll tackle one element at a time. So one element of that I think is super important, and like the more I've studied it, the more I've realized like there are scientific studies that the first 10 years of your kid's life are the most impactful. And you can literally trace back why people are the way they are to how they were raised the first 10 years. And so people who have, and a lot of it too has to do with the dad. The dad wasn't there, and so they have these wounds from not having a father, or their dad was abusive, and so they have wounds from that. The dad never told them they loved them or that they were proud of them, and so they're always trying to prove their dad wrong, even if they don't know it.
Right.
And I see it in the business world a lot. And so like for me, that's why the wealthy way is so important to me, because I want dads especially to know like, yo, you got to man up and be there for your kid, especially early. This is not, let's build the business while they're young so we can, enjoy it later. Like, you missed it. It's gone. The time is actually now to imprint on your kids. The Wealthy Way app is now available on all phones, both Android and Apple. Go check it out. It gives you access to everything in the wealthy world. That means access to our planner, which can keep track of all your goals and habits on a daily basis, access to our free courses, access to my book, The Wealthy Way, access to go watch the episodes of this podcast. You can join our Facebook community, and it can all be done from the app, which is absolutely free. So go download it right now while you're listening to this podcast. It's going to change your life. Go download it.
Right.
And so for me, with my kids, if I know that age, that first 10 years of life is so vital, I need to do everything possible to imprint on them the right things. And I have the choice to do that myself and with Mindy and, how we're going to do it, or the school system can do that, right?
People you don't know.
Yeah, and that is going to be what it is. You're
Right.
going to have a teacher who believes something totally different than you, has different ideology. You're going to have kids that come from all these different backgrounds, and that's what's going to imprint. And it's not to say you shouldn't have different perspectives and diversity, but if I know that I'm going to be able to help them understand the things that I know are important in this world, I can do that in a much easier way at home. And then still, when they go out into the world and have these different things come up, they're strong in their beliefs and what they know to be true and everything else. So I think that early age is so important. And so that's something I'm thinking a lot about with homeschooling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is just what they learn, right? It's what good is learning calculus
Yeah.
and these other things?
No, I agree. And there was things that I taught and I was like, why? And it was just more okay. And this was also an issue is, you teach to the test. It is what it is. A teacher can defend all they want, what they're teaching in the classroom. But at the end of the day, we're not marked on how kind a student is or, what life skills they bring to the table. We're marked on their testing.
Yeah.
And we're performance grade. And
Yeah.
it is what it is, And so it's just,
Well,
there's no benefit.
No, half the stuff you learn in school is literally useless.
Right.
So, it's just if I'm a guy who values my time, wouldn't I value my kids' time too? And I'm hey, 80-20 rule here. Let's get you the 20% of stuff that you actually need to know that's going to give you 80% of the results. And then let's use the rest of all this newfound free time to go do things that you're passionate about. You want to, I think about this, as a baseball player, if I didn't spend 6 hours in school every day and I could have just spent 2 learning the applicable things that I was going to need in life, English, math, that's about it. Right. I didn't need any science. I guess I could have a little bit of history for some context, but everything else was pretty much not needed. And
Here come the science teachers.
yeah, guys, I have no science background. Anyways, if I would add that extra 4 hours a day, oh my gosh, I could have practiced and played baseball and pursued other things that were a lot more fun. And, it's obviously most kids would just sit around and play video games. And so that's not what we're going to do.
Yeah,
right?
it would
It's
be on the parent at that point.
Yeah. But me as a self-driven person, even in high school, I would have had so much more that I could have done. So I just look at the time efficiency of actually learning the things you need to learn and being able to go do the things you're passionate about. And the other cool thing is I'll definitely be taking these kids when they're old enough to the office and letting them experience what the real world is like. Experience a day in the life of dad. Go hop on the phones. Come on this trip with me and see what I do. Like, you can't do that in public school.
No, you can't do that. And that was one of the big reasons too that we wanted to do this or decided. And that really heavily pushed us towards the yes is, you know, as you grow, more people want to hear what you have to say and you bring so much value to everybody. You know, you can do so much in content, but people want to see your face. They want to meet you in person. And so when you have to travel to all of these places, it sucks for us at home because, you know, one, we miss dad. It's a lot harder to do everything by myself. And why put ourselves through that when we can just go with you? And the kids, most importantly, can see what impact you're making and meet these people too. And just, I think that's the beauty of the business that you've created too, is that there's so many different areas, whether it's the videography or even just creating content or the marketing, the sales, whatever it is, like you just cover so many bases that if they will for sure find something they're interested in, and then they can go straight for it. They don't have to, you know, spend all of this time in a classroom and then you already come home. When are they going to be able to experience that?
Yeah. Or you're like my daughter and you like sports. And so she every day she's like, golf. Let's golf, Dad.
She is like so agile, and you know, I'm like okay at athletics, and Ryan's obviously really good, but I'm just like, who did she? I mean, she is going to be good at whatever sport she wants to do. But yeah, if she was in school all day, she wouldn't be able to do that. And we are so blessed too that Ryan comes home actually early a couple times a week now, just because Olivia has asked him, hey, I want to go golfing, you know, hey, go golfing, golf cart.
Yeah. She's like a parrot.
Yeah, she will not stop. So he's like, you know what? I'll just come home because I don't want to keep hearing it. And then they go for 2 hours, you know, before dinner. And also that gives me time with James, or sometimes I'll go, well, a lot of times now.
Yeah.
We'll all go together. And it's funny because we have a 2-seater golf cart because I think Ryan thought that none of us would go with him.
Yep.
And we've only had it for a few months, not that long at all. And we already have to convert it because the whole family we're just able to hang out together and enjoy, you know, nature and enjoy sports and be as a family.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't get that freedom if we were tied down by the school system.
No, not at all. So, I mean, obviously I think the kids are going to have more time to pursue interest. I think they're going to learn obviously way more important things. You know, we're not going to have other people imprinting on them, you know, their own ideologies and beliefs and everything else. Like those are all big benefits. You know, for me, another one of the benefits is just like, you know, I don't think homeschooling is going to be what we grew up as it as. I think that we're going to be pioneering like what the normal future is going to look like. Like, I think you're going to basically have like, I don't know what percentage of kids are homeschooled, but I would guess that that percentage is going to double, triple, quadruple here in the coming years, especially as the world becomes more divisive over like what they want to teach and not teach. You know, just like seeing this whole gender thing play out and political things and all these things, like they're forcing kids to now learn at like 7 years old or something.
Or younger.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like normal parents with any kind of brain are going to be like, I'm done. Like enough is enough.
Yeah. At what point are we going to be responsible for taking the innocence of our kids? And
yeah. So I think most parents would do it now if they had the capability to do it.
Yeah.
Right. I think anyone who's like, dude, like, I don't like it, but I got a job. Like,
yeah, nobody can watch them.
Like, I get it. But I think given the choice, I would actually like to do a poll on that. Like, given the choice, if you were able, would you do it? I think the percentage would be really high. But I think that wasn't an issue when we were in school. Like, people weren't really super worried about that. Like, mainly, I think my parents and most parents are worried about just like you getting drunk with your friends and like just hanging out with crazy kids. But kids today have like way more issues and problems than they
Way
did.
more.
Like the social media and the depression and the
The
agendas.
comparisons and yeah, we didn't put all that out there. We were just kind of like whoever was in your circle.
Yeah.
You just did your thing, but it wasn't exposed to the entire world. And now kids have so much pressure because they're just seeing all of these and they're seeing all of these TikTokers and whatever who are, really young and they're doing all these crazy things now and making so much money and wondering why they can't do that. But
yeah,
it's wild.
Yeah. So I think you're going to see homeschool become very normal. And I think it'll definitely be it'll be even more normal in higher income homes. I think that's definitely going to see a massive spike. I think, people are making more money. They're just going to figure out how to, because many of them too are working from home now.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of people actually do have the capability to do it.
Yeah. They have time to set aside that extra time for their kids, and then they could still work at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to happen. I think that also too with social media and just the way the world is, like the social interaction is now available. Mm-hmm. Like I think homeschool kids 30 years ago were like the Amish. It's like
they were around no one.
They were around no one. They had nothing. It was just like
them and their parents.
They were not socialized at all. There was nothing.
Right.
Today, I mean, it's so easy to connect, and kids, at least I know our kids, they connect at church, at gymnastics and sports. And like they're literally going to do everything every other kid will do. Yeah. Other than spend 6 hours in school.
Right. Be bound to the chair.
Yeah.
Learning science.
Yeah. Which, look, I get it. Like going to school is, you're going to learn more social things, but then it just goes to the cost benefit analysis.
Right.
You're like, is the benefit of them learning and being more social for those 6 hours a day worth the cost? Or if I have this alternative, what do they do for those 6 hours? And it's like, well, if my kids are going on all these field trips and stuff and they're socializing with adults at my office and they're like still getting the socialization with kids and sports and all this other stuff, I'll take my path.
Yeah.
Way more.
Well, and homeschool now just has so many different programs and co-ops that you can get with other people. I mean, we were going to create our own little co-op.
Yeah.
We're not doing that anymore because of all of the reasons that we mentioned, freedom and...
Yeah, we were going to do a co-op. So for those of you who don't know, it's like basically creating your own school.
Yeah.
And...
without we were under the number of kids and, everything was legal, obviously. Once you get past a certain amount of kids, you have to get licensing and all that stuff. But it was just a few friends that we were just going to have all of our kids together and hire a teacher. And it was just going to be this super... just cool environment and experience for our kids. But we've decided not to do that anymore because it just wouldn't be fair to the families if every other week we're like, hey, we're going out of town. All right, we're going to Mexico this week. And we almost felt it was the same as being tied down by the system.
That was the thing.
And I told him, I was like, okay, are you sure you're ready to commit to this? We're going to set a 9-month contract. We're not going to be able to go anywhere because we are hosting this school now. The families are paying to come, paying tuition for our teacher's salary, and we're just going to leave every other month and he was like, wait a minute. I thought I was getting into homeschool to be like free to do whatever, we wanted. And so we just quickly realized that as cool as it sounded for our lifestyle, it wouldn't work and it wouldn't be fair to everybody who brought their kids.
Yeah. Yep.
So...
yeah, so it's going to be basically what we're doing now is we're hiring a teacher for our kids, and we converted our whole downstairs into like a little school.
Mm-hmm. They have like the best downstairs because I, designed it and did a lot of research for a classroom setting, and now they just get like their own classroom basically. But we've always said that if we had the means, and we'll provide for our kids whatever we can. Yeah. Or we'll do whatever it takes for them to have the best of the best. So they will get the best classroom. They will get the best teacher.
Yep.
And we're going to do that for our kids no matter what.
Yep. 1000%. So, those are the main things. Another issue too, and we'll probably do a whole podcast about this. So our son, many of you guys know, he's had like a lot of therapies and other things. He's got his own special needs. And, just thinking about that with the school system and like how like restrictive these school systems are with kids with special needs. And so it's like,
it's non-existent.
Yeah. And that's also brought up a whole thing for us where it's like, man, how do we like make this better, not only for our son, but for every parent who's got to deal with that.
Yeah. I mean, that was a big driving force. I didn't know if we were going to talk about it or not, but there is just no good system, private, public, whatever, that caters to children with special needs. So we're going to create our own that's going to allow James to thrive because there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
And it's really sad to say, but children with disabilities just have such a disadvantage because there's just nothing provided for them. And parents generally don't have the means to provide for, something like this for them. So when we were looking for a teacher and everything, that was just really high on our lists to make sure that they had special needs experience and that James is just put in an environment where he thrives, and is not lost or forgotten about or just kind of like corralled, with other children of the same caliber. So, we want to just, like I said, do what's best for our kids.
Yeah. And we're going to do a podcast just all in depth on just that, because I know that there's a lot of parents right now who've got kids with special needs, and it's not easy.
No, it's not easy. And yeah, I mean, we'll obviously go in depth with his journey and everything that we've discovered through it, but we definitely don't live the normal parenting, life.
Yeah.
And many people I know are curious and would be very surprised at our day to day.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they'd be, it's like my business. It's like, they think it's easy.
They think it's easy, but they have no idea what it's like.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah. I trick myself in telling everything's easy.
Yeah.
That's how I get through it.
Well, it's like those things where if you don't know any better, this is the only lifestyle that we've ever known.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure if we had typical kids, then it would be totally different, but I can only imagine.
Yeah. And we're about to add 3.
I know. It's going to be wild. We're just going for it. There's no preparation. There's just there's no way to do it other than we'll just take it day by day. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. You guys are wondering, we're due in August, September-ish. We're planning August. What's the due date?
September 3rd.
September 3rd.
But I've had both my babies early, 2 months and 1 month. So most likely it'll be August.
Yeah. August, which is also why, for those of you wondering, WealthCon, I was thinking about doing it on the East Coast in Miami, but we're actually heading back to Vegas.
Woo!
For the next WealthCon. So stay tuned for dates in June because, I'm a big old pregnant wife and it's going to be much easier to just do it in Vegas.
Yeah. Big old hot pregnant wife. Okay.
That's right.
Don't get it twisted.
That's right. And Vegas is easier for me anyway. So
yeah. If I got to haul around 2 kids with a big old belly, or if it happens after the baby's born, we're going to need to be close.
Yep. So you can get your tickets, wealthcon.org. You want to go support. We need all the support feeding a family of 5. Okay. Buy those tickets.
Support us.
Yeah.
Sponsor us.
Sponsor us. We are taking sponsors for the event, so you guys can apply for that. But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of elements that have made us come to this decision. But look, I know a lot of you are listening, and you're like, well, I mean, I agree with a lot about what you're saying, but I can't afford to hire a teacher. I work, 9 to 5, and so I don't really have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
What should I do? What do you think?
I think I know what you would say.
What? What do you think I would say?
Figure out a way to make more money so that you can either buy your time and delegate, that you can, dedicate.
You've watched a lot of content, or you've lived with me.
Yep. Or you're able to hire a teacher. Whatever the case is, you will be able to do something that you truly want to do, whether it's for yourself or for your family.
Preach.
I'm just like Ryan 2 in the making, right? He's molded me into a second version of him. But I agree. I think that, you're limiting your mind and you're limiting yourself by saying you can't do something. You will figure it out if you want it that bad. And unfortunately, a lot of people just don't really want it that bad.
True.
And they say it and they say, I want to do this and I want to do that and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And they take 0 steps to do it. They just talk the talk.
You're harsher than me.
No, I'm saying as if I was you. I would probably say it in a nicer way if it was me. But
if it was you, you'll say, oh, well, I guess it is what
going.
it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. That's my saying. No, I mean, it's just more like motivation and fire to just do it,
So I've got a saying that if you want to achieve anything, okay, you want to put your kids into homeschool or private school, right? And you cannot do it as of this moment. It's a goal in the future. Mm-hmm. With anything, okay, the purpose has to exceed the cost.
Yes.
And so, for me, in anything I've ever wanted to do in my life, right, I need to have enough purpose behind what it is I want to do, whatever that goal is, that's going to exceed whatever the cost of doing that goal is, right? So it's like, you want to get great at real estate investing? Well, you want to go get 20 deals a year and make whatever, $500,000? All right, well, this is the cost. Mm-hmm. And just like understanding what the cost is of like, you're going to have to hire this, you're going to have to raise this much money, you're going to have to, go take out loans and be in debt and can you deal with the stress? Because that's part of the cost.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that it's not purposeful. It just means that it's not enough. It's not purposeful enough for you to do that and take those steps.
Because basically what people will find out is like, they'll realize like the purpose they want to do something is not that strong. And so it doesn't get done. Right. And so you're like, yeah, I would love to put my kid in private school and stuff. But do you actually believe the benefits are so strong that you're willing to go figure out how to get another job or a different career or something? Because if you do believe that, you'll go do it. Yeah. You'll be motivated to do that. And I use this example, and it's like a really weird, harsh example, but it's like, if I told you I was going to kill like your kid or something tomorrow,
my goodness.
Right?
What the heck?
Okay, but I'm just saying.
This went dark.
It did. But if I told you that and I said, hey, that's what's going to happen if you don't go figure out how to go get $100,000.
I see.
This week, right? You'd find a way to go get it. Mm-hmm. You would like knock down every door. You would go whatever it took. You would figure it out, right? But it's because that like the purpose of why you're doing it is so strong.
Right.
Right. Now, obviously that's not like, anyone's case right now, but if I'm like, hey, well, you want to go put them in private school, like here's the cost, or you want to homeschool them, here's the cost. If your purpose for doing it isn't as big, it's like obviously them going to public school and in most instances isn't like that life threatening,
right,
compared to other things, even though we have all these crazy shootings and things. But like,
yeah. And you've said it recently too, of like, okay, well, if we're going to hire a teacher, I got to work more, or I got to like figure out what can afford to then pay for the teacher's salary and all of these things. Yeah. And, if you did not believe that homeschooling was for our children, you would just say, you know what, we can just send them. It'll be way cheaper, or, you do it. Which I'm kind of, wrestling with, but you
guess what? If let's just say, and we are hiring a teacher, right? And I kind of jokingly said, I'm like, I don't know, like just to like test what your reaction would be, how bad you wanted it, really.
No, I don't want it that bad.
Well, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to work harder and like, like that's an extra whatever a month. And
it's It's a lot.
You know, that's something we don't pay for currently.
Right.
And the kids, as they get older, get more expensive and, you know, do more thing. Oh, you want to go on more vacations with the kids too? All right. Well, like
we're airing out all of our nighttime conversations.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to make this much more a month, like based on how our current like spending and investing and saving and giving
without
is.
having a budgeting and everything.
Right. Like,
budgeting.
You know, so.
And what's my response?
You're like, figure it out.
Like, literally, I'm like, okay, well, do it.
Yeah, you can do it. I believe in you.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, okay. And?
Yeah. But let's just say I couldn't do it.
Right.
Which is not the case. Because I always figure out how to do something that I have enough purpose to want to do.
Yeah.
But, you know, then it would go back to you of like, all right, well, you may not want to be the teacher.
Them. Right, but I would. Because I would have to do it. Exactly.
Yeah. You believe it's worth it.
Yep. So if we were not able to,
the cost would be high. Like
the cost would be extremely high. I would have to give up a lot of my life.
Yeah.
But and I'm not saying that I wouldn't enjoy teaching my own kids. I think the benefit and the reason why we want to hire a teacher is partly because of what James needs.
Yeah.
And I don't have I have the capacity to learn, but it would take me so much time. Whereas why wouldn't I just put an expert already in that field for my son? And that would be more beneficial than me doing it. But like you said, I would do it. And I told him, you know, if that's the case, then I'll be Mrs. Pineda again. I've done it once. I can do it again.
Yeah. But I think that's an important thing for people to know is like, and everything, the purpose has to exceed the cost. And, you know, when I was trying to blow up on social media, I understood the cost financially, time-wise, family-wise, being our business being out there, right? Like in doing that, I'm like, hey, if I want to be big on social media, like I already know the rewards that come with it.
Right.
What's the cost? Okay, well, gonna have to go hire all these people, spend a bunch of money on something that's not proven. I'm gonna have to like get really good at creating content and speaking and buy all this equipment and put in all these hours. I gotta sacrifice my other business, which, you know, I'm going on appointments and things and not do that. There's a lot of cost.
Or privacy. Talking about things about our life that maybe we wouldn't normally put out there to millions.
Nothing is free. Yeah. You know, so I had to not sacrifice. It was just, I don't even look at it as sacrifice. Yeah. It's just like, this is the cost to do what it is you want to do. Do you want to pay the cost or not? And is your purpose bigger than what the cost is? And it's like, yeah, I mean, I want to impact a lot of people, you know, I want to build businesses and bigger things. And so.
And sometimes I think it's okay if your purpose doesn't outweigh the cost, then you find something that does. But I think people trick their minds into thinking, oh, I want this so bad. But then when if you don't ask yourself that question of, am I willing to pay the price? And you're kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, I think I am. And then you go back to your day to day, then clearly it's a harsh reality for yourself. Because I think a lot of people would have to give up, you know, whatever type of dream that they have or something that they might not be good at, that they think that they are.
Yeah. And it goes back to, like, the reason a goal, in my opinion, doesn't get accomplished is because the purpose was not strong enough. Yeah. And so it goes back to, like, for many, homeschooling's not like a strong enough purpose to go out and totally revamp your current life. Yeah. Going and teaching, and if you're going to hire a teacher, getting that extra money, and, you know, just like totally flipping your whole lifestyle. So, you know, it doesn't make you wrong or bad. It's just like, it's not really that important to you. Yeah.
And maybe you did something else that was important to you. But for us, you know, that's something that we will do whatever it takes to make sure that we do, you know, get that for our kids.
And I mean, obviously we'll see how the journey goes as time goes on. I think like we've had friends who, like, their kids were homeschooled young, and then when they let them go to high school or something. So that'll be an interesting road to cross. Yeah. I mean, we never say never at this point. I think I learned my lesson from making the first homeschool video. That I just need to be open-minded to whatever, and obviously get perspectives from everybody. That's like
probably the number one thing.
My opinion too is like at that point, if they did want to go to high school, let's just say, you know, like what I was talking about with like imprinting and like at that point, I've kind of like done it.
Yeah, you've built the foundation for
their
them.
foundation is set. And so it's
Right.
like, all right, you want to go to high school? Cool, whatever. You want to go hang around a bunch of idiots? Whatever. It's up to you.
You are who you hang out with, though, so I would definitely be cautious of.
You want to hang out with your cool dad or the idiots? And be like, the idiots.
Man, cool dad. I don't know that any kids ever said that about their parents.
Be the cool dad.
We try to be, but I'm sure that our kids will not want to hang out with us.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Do you got anything else about the schools? You have the expertise.
I do have the expertise. I mean, I think that
I have the expertise in basically homeschool because that's what we do. Wealthy World is homeschool. For everyone who's in Wealthy World, you are being homeschooled.
You just don't know
Professor Ryan.
Oh,
You're at home watching Zooms, trying to grow your business. And what do you do? Why do you go to school? To go like get into the real world and like have a business and work a job, right? I'm doing the same thing. You're just trying to get a better career.
Oh my goodness.
But we're way better than
you're bringing
the school system.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is bringing the value.
Yeah.
And I'm not hating on the school system and saying I was a part of it, and I root for all of my teachers out there. And I know that there are some of you that just love your kids and just do a good job with your kids, but it's just a flawed system. It's broken. It's hard to win, if not impossible.
Well, I think like, you know, one of our friends, Heather Torres, she has like a homeschooling channel, and like it's like her mission is to help parents homeschool, right? And like show them that it's possible. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a very good mission because not everyone has the resources or the opportunities to do what we get to do. But even if like you're not going to go work more to go like afford a teacher or something like that, I think there are creative other ways to still accomplish the goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially like with these co-ops and stuff.
I know the co-ops are really cool. I did a lot of research on that, and it's just a bunch of friends hanging out essentially, and their kids are getting together.
Yep.
And they're learning, you know, life skills and environmental skills, and they're just like so in touch with nature and, you know, the things that really make you feel good, and they're outside all the time.
Yeah.
And they're not in the classroom with the fluorescent lights that just kill your brain cells.
Yeah, definitely being outside and active is much more beneficial. I don't know that anyone could argue that.
No, I agree. So, Pinedas are homeschooling.
We're homeschooling.
You've heard it here first. Now go compare our last homeschooling video.
Yeah.
People are going to be like,
we'll link that down below from 3 years ago when we were ignorant.
No.
But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this little segment of Wealthy Marriage. If you did, comment below, subscribe.
Let us know
and let us know what topics
we should talk about next.
What you want to hear on the next topics. But we appreciate you. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. Thanks for making it to the end. The good news is I've got another one that I know you're going to like, and all you got to do is click it right here, linking it right here. All you got to do is just click it, and you're going to see this new episode that you're going to love.